everyone.
Hi. Today we're going to talk about the belt challenge. So we have some questions here on a sheet of paper that we thought you guys might ask, and we want to give you some answers for those. So, Miss Jamie, why don't you ask the first question?
Okay, first and most obvious. What is a Challenge the Belt week?
Okay, so a Challenge the Belt week is a less formal and slightly longer way to go through your testing. It gives an opportunity in between our more formal tests for students who are either ahead of schedule, or maybe they weren't able to make it to the last test, or maybe they struggle with some test anxiety, which we'll talk about later on.
Okay, so what does a challenge week look like? What's going to happen?
So the challenge week happens during our normal class times, but it's split into two sections. So during the normal class, you'll have the first day that is going to cover most of our technical information. So students will be there, and they'll go through all of the things like the escapes and the pomse and the knowledge portion of their tests, and that'll be the first day. And then the second day, they will come back and they'll do whatever they weren't able to complete on the first day, plus they'll do their endurance portion of the test and their board breaking.
Okay, so what if a student happens not to pass on the first day of testing?
Thanks for asking. So we make it kind of a little bit stress-free. So if you aren't able to complete everything on the first day, then you won't continue to test on the second day. We don't want you to have to feel like you have to finish the test on the second day. You'll just come and be part of the normal class. So you won't have to go through your endurance requirements and stuff on that second day.
Okay, so does a student have to qualify for the challenge?
So we don't require that students qualify for the challenge, unlike our formal belt tests. However, we highly recommend that you always talk to me or one of the other instructors or Miss Jamie to determine if you're ready for a challenge, and to get you kind of prepared for that, to let you know what's going to happen during that challenge. Many people really do a lot better when they schedule some private lessons prior to their test.
And we don't have necessarily time set aside for that like we do for a formal belt test, right?
That's true. So normally for a formal belt test, the Saturday prior to that test, we will have what we call our test prep sessions. And those are 20-minute sessions that you can schedule and get some extra training just to make sure we're brushing up on all the finer details that need to be taken care of. For our challenge weeks, we don't have those, but we do have regularly scheduled private lessons, which you can schedule by going through the MyStudio app or by going to our website.
And if you need any help finding those, checking out times, whatever, I'll be happy to help you with that.
Absolutely.
So, awesome. Okay, so next question is, do I need to let this instructor know or let them know that my kid wants to challenge the belt?
Yes. So in order for us to have the belt and the boards and to make sure that we have the time to test everybody, we do need to know a week in advance. And what we usually do is at the end of the classes, a week prior to the test, we will start asking, hey, does anybody want to do the Challenge the Belt next week? And then we'll make a list of those names.
Okay, awesome. So do challenge weeks cost?
Yes, so they do cost. The challenge week costs the same as your regular testing fees, unless you were part of our all-inclusive program. If you're part of the all-inclusive program, then all test fees are already covered. You don't have to worry about those.
Okay, but what happens if a student doesn't pass a test? Will they have to pay the next time to retest?
Yes, so as long as you're not part of that all-inclusive program, then you will have to pay for each test. So the amount that you're paying covers our personnel and materials costs for that specific test date. And so then we'll need to reapply that to your next test as well.
And how do I figure out how much I'm gonna owe per test?
You come ask us. So each test is different based on your rank. So there are different sets of pricing up to red black belt, and then after that we have a completely different deal that handles our black belt testing, because that's a lot more complicated.
That's true. Okay, so just ask us for current rates, because they do fluctuate a little bit from time to time.
Yes.
Okay, so next question. What do I need to bring on Challenge the Belt week or do?
Okay, so super important that you arrive at least 5 minutes early for your class. And you don't want to arrive like 25 minutes early because we've got other classes going on. But you do need to arrive at least 5 minutes early. You'll need to be already in your uniform. Belt needs to be tied unless you need help. If you need help tying your belt, you're white, yellow, you haven't learned how to tie your belt yet, you can come in and immediately, as soon as you get here, ask one of the instructors or assistants to help you tie that belt. You need to bring your water bottle as usual, and your testing fee, if you're going to pay with cash or a check, you'll need to have that with you. Otherwise, we'll just build a card on file when you test. And then if you're going to be sparring, you'll need to bring your sparring gear with you.
Okay, awesome. Will you always need your sparring gear for a belt challenge?
So if you are, we won't do sparring on the first day of the belt challenge week. So
Okay.
like if we're doing Tuesdays, you won't need to have that. So just like usual, if you're coming to a Thursday class, we tend to bring our sparring gear then because we spar toward the end of the week. Same thing applies to our challenge the belts.
Okay, so only on the Thursday or the Friday?
On the Thursday or Friday, yes, that's
Awesome.
correct.
Okay, great. So can anyone choose to challenge the belt?
So, yes and no. So, we allow people to challenge the belt at will. We do, as I said earlier, encourage that you ask your instructor if you're ready first, and we'll try to help you get there if you're not quite there. So ask us early. So then we want to make sure that everybody has a great opportunity to test, and you are allowed to test unless you are a blue belt or above. Did I get that right? Blue belt.
Blue belt or above?
Okay, great. I wanted to make sure I said that correctly. So blue belt or above, we do require that you do the formal testing because it is a much longer test for everybody above that rank, and there's just not enough time for us to do you justice and allow you to show off all of your skills in a challenge format.
Right, and then black belts, that's not even a thing. Challenge the Belt Week isn't applicable to
No.
black
So
belts.
black belts have to be scheduled 3 months in advance. There's a very specific process that we go through with everyone who's challenging, or so not challenging, who's testing for a black belt.
And then if you guys have any questions about when these dates are, we have the calendars available. Everyone should receive a paper copy, but if you need a new one, I can get you one. And they've got all the dates listed for Challenge the Belt weeks and formal testing dates on Saturdays. So, okay, a not fun question. What if we are late to class on either one of those Challenge the Belt weeks?
Okay, so being on time is super, super important for several reasons. We need to make sure that we know exactly who's there and who's testing. We need to make sure that you have all the gear that you need. And it's super important that we tell our children how valuable punctuality is going to be in their entire life. So the rule is, just like it is for our formal testing on Saturdays, the rule is that if you are on time, meaning you get there right when class starts, or you arrive after class, you will not continue to test. Even if you've completed day 1 of the test, if you are late for day 2, you won't be able to complete the test. So you'll have to wait for the next formal testing.
And that's because testing starts the minute class starts. It's not because we're not doing a normal warm up that is just free time or whatever.
Yeah, the warm up itself is part of the test. Everything
Starts
is test requirements.
And these are shorter test frame times, so every single minute counts.
Yes, absolutely.
However, should you still show up even if you know you're going to be late, or you arrive late, should you still go out on the floor and participate in class?
Absolutely, because it gives you a great opportunity to go over all the materials. So say it's a Tuesday and you know that, oh, I'm going to be late. We plan to test and we're not going to be able to be there on time. Go ahead and come anyway, because it gives you the opportunity to go over all of that material and prepare yourself for the test to come.
Okay, and we understand that sometimes we're late because school traffic or something, especially right there for those early class times. We understand that. Please let us know ahead of time if you can, to let us know. But just plan to leave extra early, extra time to fight traffic, school pickup lines, whatever it is, so that you can be here early and get all settled in.
Absolutely. That gives you the best chance of success.
Yep. So the one difference with the late policy is for Challenge the Belt weeks, if you come late, you can still participate in class even though you're not testing.
Yes, absolutely.
But on a Saturday formal belt test, you may not participate at all.
That's correct.
So that's the one difference there.
Yep.
Okay, moving on. So what if my student or myself have test anxiety Do you think that challenge week is a good option?
Challenge week is the best option.
Okay.
So challenge week is a great way for people with test anxiety to go through all their material in a more familiar environment, slightly less formal, where they can feel more comfortable and not be as pressured. And so it is a great opportunity for those people to test.
Okay, great. That does not mean that if you have a high test anxiety kiddo that they have to wait for Challenge the Belt week.
Absolutely not.
Talking to them and prepping them ahead of time for what a Saturday belt test looks like by finding out on our other video what it looks like is a great idea, and it's still a really good experience. But if you know you have a high test anxiety kiddo, then a Challenge the Belt week is great.
Yes.
One more question. Can we bring spectators, extra friends, family to challenge week?
So unfortunately we can't do that, and we do have a limited space here for seating. So during our regular tests, we schedule the tests based on who's going to be there. So we'll break up the tests into 1, 2, or 3 tests during the space of a Saturday, so that we know that we have seating and room on the floor for everybody that's going to be here. Unfortunately, we can't control that on a regular class day because everybody who's registered for that class can show up that day, and they all may bring a parent who's there to pick them up and take them and all that stuff. So we can't control the number of people on the benches on those days. Therefore, we can't be bringing in extra people in because in our current space, we're pretty well packed.
Yep. So because we can't bring other people in, will Zoom be available?
So we don't do Zoom for the challenge days specifically for the children who have test anxiety. If they know that they're being filmed, that can really spike that anxiety, and then they'll freeze and not be able to test well. So that's something we're going to help them overcome over time, but we prefer not to do that during their first several tests until they've kind of gotten used to the process. So we don't do that. We don't do Zoom for our challenge
weeks.
Challenge
Okay,
weeks.
but it will be available on regular.
Yes,
Saturday
regular
test.
Saturday testing, there is a video feed available.
Okay, awesome. I think we've covered most of the questions you guys might have, but if you have thought of something else, please feel free to contact us and just let us know anything else that you have.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Miss Jamie, for your help with this video.
You're welcome.
Guys, keep training and keep growing.